going to be a very difficult, tricky race. But we know that there are some quality drivers in the Downforce Radio, BRSCC, Mazda MX-5 Clubman Championship races, with pole position going to race one winner. Race one of the day. Seems like ages ago now, but we're ready for another one. That means Harry Dean in the number 8 car. White and green, Harry Dean. We weren't going to bingo. We used to do that with. Who was that? Harry Nunn, 61. Harry Nunn is the grid. We'll get out of bingo mode. Harry Dean on pole position with Bo Parry, who was second in the race earlier on. Alongside Jonathan Greensmith, won the Masters last time. Russell Halley next to him. From Jamie Turner and Nick Ledoyne on the outside of row 3. Fourth row, Dale Pace. And don't worry, it's Jack Worry on his outside, completing row 4. Let's go on to row 5. Alan Hawkins in 722 and Jake Pace in car number 228, completing our top 10. Sixth row, 11 is Michael Pearce. Next to him, Simon Waterfall in car number 24. Then we go back to row 7, Oak Richardson and Christian Dan, one of our guest drivers in the Masters class. He is in car number 14. 101 is Hayden McDonald's. Matthew Fletcher is in 16. He was on pole position at the start of the days in 21st place, 16th place. 17th place on the grid, William Bream in 264, and Jordan Head in car number 3. Row 10, Kevin Bird and Pete Smith, one of our guest drivers. He is in car 17. Row 11, Tom Cannon. We haven't got Bobby Bull with us, but we do have Peter Williams in 65. He lines up 22nd on the grid. Chris Thelwell in 577. Simon Privet in 991. That's row 12. 13th row, Oscar Trapesse. Nearly said Trespass then, thinking back to the early Genesis albums, but it's Oscar Trapesse and Simon Browning in 57. Row 14, Dale Whiteman and Jordan Pimley, non-finisher in race number 1, a man who qualified second this morning. What can he do from the back of the grid? Hey, not quite at the back of the grid, because the man starting on row 15, ding dong, Peter Bell. He is in the 96 car. So we are, I was going to say ready. We're not ready because they're on the green flag lap, and conditions are much, much worse than they were earlier on. Was it this morning when we kicked off? It was 11:35, so we were still in AM when we had our first race. And we'll see how things pan out over the course of this one. A lot of aquatic names, haven't we? Of course, of Simon Waterfall. We've had Drinkwater, Waterfall. William Bream could probably swim his way through, and yeah, it's a bit of a theme going on really with some of those. But anyway, second race for these guys. Let me just fold the programme so I can read the thing, which is enormous help, and we can talk a little bit about how things panned out. Remember, race number 1, the championship leader Matthew Fletcher started on the pole position. And Fletcher ending up down in 16th place. Sorry for the delay, just checking up where he finished because I don't have a print of the grid for this one. But he's got an awful lot of work to do. Championship points wise, he was only 18 points clear of John Pethick, who's not here. Jordan Pimley also had problems. So Jordan Pimley was a DNF, so it hasn't really affected the championship. John Pethick was probably well away, not being here. Fletcher and Pimley. Fletcher did score because he was in the results, as it were, the point scoring places. So then we go back. Del Pace was probably the best scorer of the top half dozen in the championship. Jamie Turner and Kevin Bird next up in the standings. So Harry Dean will be looking to make it a good result again and hike himself up towards the top parts of the championship. But we'll just see how things run out for this one. Coming down towards us, Kevin Bird in 59. Next up is the 17 of Pete Smith. Tom Cannon in 25 goes through, and our view changes as they come out of Palmer, the left hand. They're very slightly downhill, as you can see, on the infield. And the green and white car, Harry Dean, our pole position man, race winner from race number 1 earlier on. There is Jonathan Greensmith, who came up from 16th on the grid in race number 1 in the Steel City MX-5. Is he going to be able to make it a little bit further up? There's Alan Hawkins, 722, driver I first saw race in around about 1975-76. So he won't thank me for telling you he's that old, but a great chap, as was his late father, Bert Hawkins, who was a short oval stock car racer, and both lovely people, and great to be still commentating on Alan racing. Make no apology for giving him the extra mention. Here's the view as they come onto the Bentley Straight. Still like to call it the Rev. I quite like the old names, and it was kind of due, I suppose, a bit of updating or rebranding when they introduced the new corners and the new circuit. You can see the runoff there to the right of shot, which goes off to the what's the old 200 circuit. You can no longer do the sort of 90-degree turn 2 on the 100 circuit. It's a little bit of a chicane. I have seen races, but not that many on the 200, which is a pity. I think you can use the 100 while the 200's going, because the 100's on the infield. Anyway, that's a discussion, I dare say. But 15 minutes in prospect, and the time is not being eaten into at the moment on TSL. We've still got 15 minutes on the clock, even on this second lap. So Harry Dean will have the best view, really, in terms of not having spray, but he's going to be on the inside. Remember, he started on the inside in race 1, actually. So where I said earlier on that it was the outside of the front ranks that was maybe getting a little bit more grip off the starts, maybe it was. Because remember, we saw 3 leaders, didn't we? We saw Matt Fletcher lead, we saw Jordan Pimley lead as well, and then Harry Dean came through after the 2 leaders had the problems. Are we going to see Bo Parry or Russell Halley is fourth? I haven't really spoken about Russell Halley, who lines up in the purple number 99 on the outside of the second rank, and we've seen some not grippy but decent starts from that position on the grid. Top 2 in place. Harry Dean in white, looking to make it a double. It was damp earlier on in the day, change of conditions, hence the extra lap. Marshall's working hard, waving the yellows, giving the drivers the appropriate place to stop. Hopefully everybody will pull up short rather than overshoot the boxes that they're due to go in. And we quick look down towards the back, where we will see the likes of Dale Whiteman, who was the last finisher, Jordan Pimley in the 500 car, Jordan in the close racing car, will be off the back with Peter Bell, who non-finished. Both of those drivers did 1 lap only in the first race of the day. Somebody who dropped back a little bit, it was Russell Halley in the purple and yellow car, but has assumed his grid position, 4th position after race number 1. Fastest lap in race 1 was Jack Worry, so we'll see whether Jack can do it from 6th on the grid. He is in the grey car, just to the right of the purple with the yellows. Jamie Turner is the, beg your pardon, Jonathan Green is Russell Halley. Jamie Turner is the car. Beg your pardon, no, Jack Worry's in 8th place, isn't he? So I think that was a 6th place car that came into line. So Nick Ledoyen, apologies if we've called that incorrectly. I'm sure you'll forgive me. And here is our view of the cars who are now in position. 5-second board is shown. So we are very nearly ready to go for our second Mazda MX-5 Clubman race, sponsored by Downforce Radio here at Snetterton. The lights. Dean and Parry on the front row. Parry gets hooked up very well indeed. So too does Russell Halley from 4th position, and it's Bo Parry that will lead them down into riches. Russell Halley on the outside line. Harry Dean has got a huge amount of work to do. He's back in 4th, maybe 5th position. Going well is Del Pace, trying to make up ground. And they go into Russell. Faces full of spray for everyone, and Harry Dean, really the driver that could not get it off the line. I wonder if there is more tyre rubber down there embedded in the tarmac. It'll be interesting to get the perspective of the drivers for sure. And it's Bo Parry that leads. Russell Halley in 2nd position, taking the wider line around the Wilson hairpin. They all filter their way round, and thus far, absolutely brilliant driving standards by all of them. They make it around turn 1, they make it around turn 2. Will it be a different matter as they exit turn 3 and head down to turn 4? It's a sideways moment for Russell Halley, who leads this one with Bo Parry in 2nd place, side by side beside. Well, no, it's only 2 of them, filter down to 1, and it's the white and blue car of Jonathan Greensmith, who, through all this, despite the change from second and fourth place cars, comes through in third. Harry Dean is still in the mix of things as well, with the white and green car, as through in front of us goes Jordan Head in the red number 3, out of Agostini, named after the great Italian motorcyclist Giacomo Agostini. And of course we're respecting bike culture here as well at Snetterton. That's the only little concession I think there is to bikes, to be honest, in circuit names. But what a name to honour, as the cars again start to get stuck in. Look at on the camera, that's Russell Halley in the 99. The race leader is off on the grass. Look how he's struggling with the car to get it back on. He has to do so safely in the MS UK regulations, and he does that. He's back on track. And as we look at what I think is the leaders, is there anybody out of shot? Possibly not. Jonathan Greensmith is there. And coming up as well is Bo Parry in second place. But it's Greensmith, the master, leading this one. Greeted by green flashing LEDs. Race, race, race. Under the bridge, into Brundle, round into Nelson. Coming up into second place is Nick Ledoyen. Look at this, Nick Ledoyen, what a first lap he has had. Wet weather master coming under pressure from Bo Parry in the 73 car, who looks on the inside. That could be brave for Parry. As the 99 car rejoined, I think probably some way back, to be absolutely fair. Yeah, it did make it back on circuit, but that is not the best of starts for Russell Halley. Well, it was a good start, but not the best of the first lap, as Jonathan Greensmith leads them around. Had the pleasure of commentating on Jonathan in the Porsche Championship that he mentioned in the podium interview after race 1. That was, of course, a BRSCC initiative as well. And now here comes Harry Dean, having a very good look here at Bo Parry. This is the battle for third place as they go up across the line to complete lap 1 of race 2 here at Snetterton. Greensmith the leader, Nick Ledoyen in second position, Bo Parry third, Harry Dean, our race winner from earlier on, in fourth position. Jack Worry up into fifth place from 8th, and he's having a look on the outside and making up very good ground indeed, and so too is Jordan Pimley in the number 50. So Pimley in the 500 car has come through into 8th place. Jordan Pimley is on an absolute mission here. How much higher up the order can Jordan Pimley do? I wasn't expecting. If I sound surprised, it's because I am, because he has come through from the very back of the grid, picked his way through, and will he continue to do so as we look at Simon Waterfall in the 24 car, and the race leaders now coming down from Palmer, downhill into Agostini. What sort of line are we going to see from the race leader, Jonathan Greensmith? Remember, started the day 16th on the grid, dealt with that absolutely superbly. Pimley about to tick off another place as he pops up the inside of the number 21, which is Matthew Fletcher. Fletcher working his way through the order, but not at the same pace. We've got Alan Hawkins in 6th place as they went across the line at the end of lap number 1, and there is the 21 of Fletcher starting to get away. But Jonathan Greensmith, the race leader, lap number 1, will catch up with first flying laps a little bit later on. Ledoyen in second, trying to close him down. The gap at the end of lap 1 was, as you can see from the timing tower, just under a second. And I'm still marvelling at Pimley coming through from the back into 8th position. He's ahead of that now because he's passed Alan Hawkins. So Pimley, remember, non-starter, started 28th on the grid. Not content with getting in the top 10 on lap number 1. Qualified second to Matthew Fletcher. Fletcher was 9th behind Pimley. Must have wondered where he come from. We go back to the leaders though, and Pimley has now caught Harry Dean. The race winner, the race 1 winner, has been caught in a lap and 3/4 by the man who started off the back of the grid. What a drive by Jordan Pimley here in the wet. We might be watching a little bit of history here. I'm certainly going to remember this one on this first couple of laps from Jordan Pimley for a very long time. Very, very talented stuff from the driver of the 500 car. Now then, change for the lead, and it's Ledoyen now in the lead from Jonathan Greensmith. We're wondering whether a Go For It car would be able to, beg your pardon, Jack Worry, isn't it, out front? Jack Worry is the race leader. So it's all change in the wet conditions. Jamie Turner busy chasing Bo Parry in the 73, who has dropped back a little bit. So as they go across the line, Jack Worry, apologies to him. Jonathan Greensmith trying to get out of the spray. So that's Warry from Greensmith. Harry Dean next up. Jordan Pimley is in 4th place. Matthew Fletcher is in 5th. So Fletcher and Pimley both could probably work together to get up towards the podium. They've got Dean in front of them. Jonathan Greensmith in 2nd place at the moment. Conditions far from ideal, but good enough to give us a spectacular Downforce Radio BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Clubman Championship race, as the light blue car, can't see the number, and apologies for not picking them out as well as our regular man Andy McEwen would. A little bit of sideways moment there from the 4th position car, but Jack Worry, who had the fastest lap in race number, another driver who looks pretty good in the wet. The wobbly moment was Jordan Pimley, wasn't it? So Pimley from Fletcher, 4th and 5th. That all settling down a little bit at the moment. Alan Hawkins dropped to 9th. He's got the 8th place car, 228, which is Jack Pace. Del Pace back in 11th at the moment as they go through the mist once again. Slowing car there. Slowing car there as, now was that the race leader? I think that was Jack Worry, because it's Jonathan Greensmith in front again. Jack Worry has gone, so major drama. Worry's back on track and will try and come down. So Jonathan Greensmith re-inherits the lead here from Harry Dean in 2nd position. That's the 577 car, Chris Thelwell rejoining. But here's the race leader again, Jonathan Greensmith, with Harry Dean in 2nd and Jordan Pimley now in 3rd place. So podium position after 2 and I said 3/4 of a lap, didn't I? But maybe 2/3 of a lap. 2 and 2/3 of a lap, with Matthew Fletcher now in 4th position. Alan Hawkins in the 722 splashing his way here around Snetterton, up ahead of Pete Smith in the 17, who's come through the field well. So good driving from Pete Smith. Russell Halley making good progress as well on his recovery. There is the 25 of Tom Cannon, who goes through. Now back with the race leaders coming out of Murray's. Onto the centre straight we go once again. Keep your eyes on all 4 if you're able to, because they climb uphill, and it's Jonathan Greensmith who will show with lap lead again. It was Jack Worry on the last lap. Greensmith goes through. Worry is not come through at all yet. Matthew Fletcher gets the fastest lap of the race. He's in P4. Watch for the purple car in P4 trying to close in. Jordan Pimley, meanwhile, trying to challenge Harry Dean. Dean, in turn, trying to close in on Jonathan Greensmith, who looks like he's got the measure of them at the moment. Let's have a look at the lap times. Greensmith's last lap, 2:51.3. Dean, 2:50.88. 2:50.3 for Jordan Pimley. The 3rd place car, the fastest man in the group, apart from Matthew Fletcher in 21, who was passed by Pimley on the opening lap, but he's taking the fight back to him. Maybe that was a little bit of a wake-up call for the driver of the 21. He is the fastest man on track. He is in 4th position and will work with the 3rd place man to try and close down on the race leaders. Greensmith again, downhill, out of Palmer, in towards Agostini. Characteristically, I think, going centre of the road, under brakes, issues there for Del Pace in the Masters category. Jonathan Greensmith leading Master from Alan Hawkins at the moment, with Del Pace was 3rd. He will relinquish that. Are we going to see a podium place relinquished in the next few minutes as we look across from the Bentley Straight? Things have kind of settled down there between the top 4. I was almost expecting Pimley and the others to get stuck in. A quick look again at Tom Cannon. Cannon coming under pressure from Jack Worry, who's in front of the 228 car. Jake Pace, so both of the Paces have had issues by the look of it in this race as Jonathan Greensmith goes up. Now Matthew Fletcher still trying to close down on Harry Dean. There is Fletcher, the championship leader in the Downforce Radio Clubmans. John Pethick, I guess he may be watching from home. Jordan Pimley needs to finish ahead of Matt Fletcher here in order to continue to put the pressure on points-wise. Greensmith has a little bit of a wobble. Harry Dean closes up just a little bit. It's all concertinaing at the moment between the top 4 here at Snetterton, and they're heading down towards Bombhole for the 4th time of asking. We've got 3 minutes and 57 seconds on the clock as they head now to Coram, and it is a quartet for the lead. Arguably, you're going to say the winner is going to come from these four, unless things go pear-shaped out there on the tarmac, which they could well do. But having said that, great driving standards so far as they come into Murray's. This is a worrying moment. We've seen a few cars getting caught out here. Jordan Pimley closing up now. Second and third getting closer, splashing through the water goes Harry Dean in P2. They pass the entrance to the pit lane. None of them are intending or wanting to use that at the moment as they cross the line. Warning flags going out, probably as a reminder to everybody about track limits. Fletcher dropping back. Pimley gets the fastest lap, pulls out to the inside, challenging Harry Dean for second position. The 500 car from the back of the grid has made it up into P2, and there was nothing that Harry Dean could do about that. Pimley was all momentum on that last lap, reeled them in, closes down. Now he's got to deal with Jonathan Greensmith for the overall lead. We wait for them to come back into shot. Greensmith still your race leader, the blue stripes emblazoned on the front of the car, the black and yellow machine of Jordan Pimley in second place. Third position now is Harry Dean, who will desperately want to hang on to that podium position. Little look back. Very well caught by a vision mix there. Off onto the grass goes Jake Pace. A second excursion. He's in the gravel. He's bedded down. That could be safety car. It could be curtains, shower curtains in this weather, for the race, if that is the case. Because if that car is in there, another car could follow in. Here is our quartet battling it out for the top four. Matthew Fletcher at the moment, for me, I don't think has got it within him to close up on the top three. They're having their own squabble. Pace gets out of the car. Pace is okay, which is the main thing, and plenty of pace in the race leaders at the moment. Harry Dean's coming back. Dean's having a go at Pimley. Pimley closing in as they go through Williams. Are we going to see back with Pace is a little bit fed up with himself as we look across, and now we've got Harry Dean. The fact that he's nibbling away at the rear quarters of Jordan Pimley for second position means that Pimley is going to be looking in his mirror, I guess, a little bit. He's got to be aware that the car is there and challenging him. That's Jonathan Greensmith out front. The race admin team here once again keeping the race flowing despite the car in the gravel as best they can to give these clubmen. This is their last race of the weekend. He's gone round the outside at the Brundle-Nelson complex, dives around the outside. He found the grip, he's found the lead. Jordan Pimley is there, and up front Harry Dean still showing his second position on the timing screen, but of course he's down in third place, and now Jonathan Greensmith is going to try and fight back. They head through into Coram. He's going to have a look at the inside. We've got 1 minute and 1 on the clock, but the checkered flag is being readied here, so it's going to be Jordan Pimley from the back row of the grid who, barring any problems here at Murray's, he'll be on the brakes. He nurses the car through the corner and surely is going to take the most spectacular of wins on the last lap. Technically, there should have been another lap, but with the stranded car, another great decision from race control. The checker is readied, and from the back of the grid, Jordan Pimley takes the win. It's Jonathan Greensmith in second, Harry Dean in third place, Matt Fletcher, the championship leader, takes Robert Lewis.
A very emotional Jordan Pimley, Richard. We've just picked our driver of the weekend. That was absolutely phenomenal. Club Motorsport at its very best. Jordan Pimley, last to first. Your thoughts?
I'm honestly speechless, Rob. 90% of that race, I couldn't see a thing. It was just driving on a hope and a prayer. And I didn't even mean to send it on Harry Dean into turn one. It's just couldn't see an absolute thing. Barely see to the end of the bonnet. And then he went backwards, so it must have been on the brakes. And I hit the brakes at that point. So. Yeah, I can't explain the feeling, honestly.
I mean, you're shaking. The adrenaline's obviously still going through you. But, I mean, after race one as well, leading it, and then what actually happened in race one?
So basically, the internals of my diff decided that they didn't want to be attached anymore.
Okay.
So essentially, the casing that holds the bearing onto the diff snapped in two, which meant the diff was wobbling about, and my crown wheel and pinion are now smooth. So, big diff change.
Yeah, don't do things by halves. And then just the start of that race, I mean, what was your game plan going into it? Because
well, of course, with Matt Fletcher being ahead of me in the championship, I was even saying to the boys, it's catch him as fast as humanly possible, and I was following him out of turn 1, so I was happy with that. And then see if I can keep it on the road.
Well, Jordan, absolutely fantastic. Richard John Neal was very impressed in the box. We were all cheering you on, watching here. Brilliant win, last to first, my driver of the weekend, certainly.
Thank you very much.
Jonathan Greensmith, congratulations. You held on as much as you could. What a charge from that man there. And the Masters.